Hello, everyone. This is Rich Kiker, and I want to thank you for returning to the Thrive with Five series. We have Google Docs Next Level on tap today, and I'm thrilled to share that I think there's about 1,500 or more people tuning in right now on this live broadcast. So from all over the world, thank you for joining us. It means a lot that you're taking the time to be here. And before we get started with our Next Level Google Docs, just a few reminders that within a few minutes, typically after the end of this broadcast, you can access the recordings. One way to get to those recordings is with this short link at the bottom of our screen that you see right here. That short link will not only give you access to the materials and the slide decks, but also has an additional link where you can find all of the recordings. Even more, tomorrow is Friday, and every Friday, if you've registered for an event this week, you will receive an email with a recap and some additional information. So look for that email coming sometime tomorrow. Lastly, before we jump in, we always encourage everyone to share and share often. So if you are using Twitter or any social media platform, the hashtag that we typically use is the one you see in the bottom left-hand corner, Google EDU. And I am at rkiker on Twitter. So please tag me if you have any questions or anything I can help with. We'd love to share and help as much as possible. So let's get after it. All right, so today with our next level, Tuesday we did our kickstart and got into some of the basics of docs, sharing, and a little bit of the basic pieces. We're gonna level up today. And in my mind, I wanna drive towards this idea of the interactive document and ways we can be more interactive, not only in our building of Google Docs, but in our use and our feedback to students or colleagues if we're working together on projects. So the Thrive with Five topics today are going to be around fillable fields, templates and building your own templates in your domain, add-ons, which are extended functionality for your Google Docs. We'll get into linking and embedding a little bit, and also the concepts of review and viewability of our Google Docs. As typical, our agenda for the half hour is around the demonstration, the classroom testimonial, and teacher spotlight. We love pulling in what some teachers are doing. We have a good one today. And then we have extra credit, and we'll have a little Q&A at the end as well to make sure we can try to answer the most popular questions that you're asking, right? So with that being said, a couple overview ideas or features of Google Docs. Obviously, we know about the collaboration. We know about it being platform agnostic with anytime, anywhere access on mobile, on tablet, on the web. And today we're going to push that idea of interactive or hyperdoc functionality and a little bit more, and push the borders out a little bit, the boundaries out a little bit. Okay, so without further ado, we want to get going. There's no reason to talk too much. So let's jump into the demonstration here and get you right where we want to go. Now, I'm going to use this doc that you see right here as my demonstration document. And when I'm using it, I want you to know that I have put the link to this on our resources page. So if you want to use this or access this yourself, absolutely, please do. You'll notice that I've named this document interactive, okay? Autosave is happening right now. And I've taken our Thrive with Five topics, and I've built them into little channels or little chunks here on this document to kind of model this for everybody so you can see the workflow and some of these ideas that I mentioned. First, fillable fields. I was telling Devin from Google, and I should have reminded you already, apologies. Please keep your questions and answers going because the talented Devin is on the back end watching that Q&A and bringing them to me for the end of the session. But I was sharing with Devin that I was working with my wife on this idea, and she's using Google Classroom in 6th grade class right now, and she saw this part and she loved it. So I wanted to bring this forward for everybody. Oftentimes, we want to make fillable documents with fields that kids can put their own information in, or maybe colleagues, coworkers, whatever it may be. And oftentimes we do this, right, where we have a name and we put like a line or underscore running across. But then the problem is someone comes in and they type Rich, and then I have to sort of manipulate this and try to line up the lines or underline. What a mess, right? So we're not going to do that anymore. That's gone. What we're going to do from now on is this. What I've done here is inserted a table. And I promised those of you who are with us on Tuesday that I would build on top of tables today, because there's so much you can do with tables in Docs. So I have a 2-column, single row table that you see here. And with this, I'm going to point at my center border, and I'm just going to click and drag it off to the left near my name field, okay? Then what I want to do is I want to right-click on this table. I'm a right-click kind of guy. I like the sub-menus, but also when I right-click, I get a number of options for rows and columns, insert and remove, or delete. I also see the option for table properties right here. If I select table properties, you'll notice there is a table border, and it has a weight to it. The weight of this border is 1 point. I'm going to go down and I'm going to take this, I'm going to make this 0 points, which essentially is going to make my border transparent if it has no weight. Okay. I hit OK, and now my field is invisible. Or excuse me, my border for my fields in my table are invisible. That's good. This is a good start. However, let's level up. Recently, well, not that recently, but Google has added this feature on tables where if I am in the table and I point right where my line would be, you notice if I click one time and I make this selection, I can select just that single line or that single part of the border. And why this is useful is once I make this selection, I can come up to my toolbar over here. I can change my border width again, and I can add weight back. If I make it 1 point, now I have a single line. If I want a dotted line for my students to fill out, now I have a dotted line. And so if you're using Classroom and you're taking this document, let's say to make a copy for every student, and you want them to be able to fill in content, they just simply click, type their names, and we're on our way, right? So fillable fields inside of your Google Docs. And that's all I have for you today. So thanks for coming, everybody. Just kidding. Just kidding. We're still getting started. But hopefully that's one that is valuable to all of you in terms of leveling up and building a little bit more interactive document. Moving on, I want to address that idea of templates and adding your own templates to your domain for future use. For me, the common example here is something like letterhead, a school letterhead, or maybe a standard writing rubric that will be assessed and used to score for student writing. So how do you do that? Well, just so happens, I went ahead and took a letterhead for our company right here, okay? I have this file in the domain. What I want to do is I want to take this Google Doc and I want to go over to our Docs main application page. If you remember from Tuesday, we talked about 3 ways to start a doc. Doc.new, start from Drive, or start from the Docs application page. I'm going to jump over to the Docs application page. Oh, let me back up. Okay. And as we mentioned, from our apps launching menu, you can get to your apps here on Docs. That will take me right to this location. I see all of my documents. I see my template gallery. I want to expand my template gallery. We have the general templates that are available here, but we also have our domain. And if I click on my domain, you'll notice I have no templates in this test domain, but I get this message allowing me to submit a template for myself and everyone else in the domain to access and get their own copy of. When I choose to submit a template, I get an option to select the file or select the document. When I do, here is my letterhead. Of course, I could search for this as well. And then I have an option to submit a copy of this file instead of the original. If you wanted to put a copy of your file up there so that future changes that you make to the original will be changed on your file, but not the template, you would choose submit a copy here. If you want this to be the end all do all and any updates that are made to this file also become updates on the template that will be iterated and copied in the future, then you would say, you would leave the selection unchecked. And that way this will directly attach to your version of the file. If I drop down my categories, I can select a category and submit. And within a couple seconds, your template will be loaded to the domain, and anyone signed in to your domain can go and make their own copy of this, their own template of this, and work from that standard starting point. So templates, valuable to pull from inside of the Google Docs ecosystem. Next, add-ons. Now we're going to start to level up how to build even more interactivity, okay? Add-ons, if you think about a Chrome extension and how that extends the functionality of the Chrome browser, add-ons are very similar. They extend the functionality of the Docs application, okay? So add-ons allow me to come to my menu under add-ons right here. And if I pull down this menu, I will see add-ons that I currently have installed. I'm also able to go to Get Add-ons to find extended functionality tools, or Manage Add-ons if I want to manage the ones that I currently have installed, or if I want to remove an add-on from my account, from my cloud access here. If I choose Get Add-ons, you'll notice that the G Suite Marketplace opens, and similar to the Chrome Web Store, I can look through this for a certain application that I want to deploy as an add-on. It happens that I have a few available. One is Easy Accents, which tends to be pretty popular. Let's model that a little bit for everybody here. If I come to my add-ons and I want to launch Easy Accents, I simply go hover on the menu, select Easy Accents and start. My side panel will load and I can select the language that I want the accents and special characters to come from. If I come down to Spanish, it will give me Spanish. You can see I put a few in already, but if I take these out, I can show you what I was doing here. If I want the enye and lowercase, I think, I would click once. There is my special character entered into the body of my document. If I hold my Shift key for capitalization like you normally would do, I get the special character in capital form. Okay, so great time saver for our language learners or our world language teachers, and some opportunities here to level up a little bit. So real quick, I'm hearing a question about the fillable fields. Let me just return to that here real fast about how do we enter multiple, how do you add more multiple lines? Well, if you remember, this was a table, right? And what you can do with your table is you can, let me do something real quick for everybody here. If I come back to my table properties, I turn my border back on for everybody, okay? So this was a 2x1 field or a 2x1 table. With tables in Docs, if I hit Tab, it will give me additional fields and it will build my rows down inside of this table. So if you need multiple entries, there's a couple options. I can select multiple cells like this, and I can say merge cells. And what that will do is it will keep my name in a single cell, and it will give me multiple lines of access off to the right here, okay? And a question about add-ons being free. Great question, and this is from Loris, I think. Dev, that was your first question there. The question about are add-ons free? Many are. Some have the freemium model. Some are free to a certain extent, and then there's a premium feature. I'm using the free Easy Accents version here. If you notice off to the right, there is a premium feature as well that you might want to explore and see what some of those premium features are. Okay, so great questions, everyone. I did make note here of math type. I know math teachers often find challenges in the basic equation editor with Docs. This is an extended, broader equation editor that may help you when you're trying to build custom formulas and advanced formulas as well. We have another add-ons question. If you add an add-on and then share the document with a student, does the add-on stay for the student, or do they need to personally add the add-on to their account to see it? Great question here from Marnie, right? Marnie, for the most part, add-ons are a personal tool that are added. So you would want to recommend your students to add it as well. However, your technology coordinators or your Google system admin have the ability to enable add-ons by organizational unit or by groups inside of your organization. So I would discuss with them the opportunity to find add-ons that are valuable for students and teachers and enable them for the entire domain so that everyone will be able to access. Great question. The fourth of our area of the Thrive with 5 today is linking, right? And so linking is obviously one of the easiest ways to make an interactive document because it takes you somewhere else. I have first just a couple links here for research. I have Google Scholar selected right here. I'm actually going to remove that for a second because I want to relink to this and show you how I do this. When I select the term Scholar here, once I have it selected, I can click my hyperlink button or insert link. Control K would be the keyboard shortcut if you're a keyboard shortcut power user. If I say insert link, I get a couple options from Google. One, my field says paste a link or search. This is great because if I already captured the URL or the link that I want to link to, I can simply paste it here. If I don't know where I want to go yet, this is actually a search field where Google will return the top 1 or 2 options on the web based on my search criteria. So you see I have Google Scholar here already, but if I search for Google Scholar, we should see Google Scholar come up as one of these options. It's right here. I make that selection, I apply, and now this link is active, and anyone viewing my document who clicks on it will be taken to Google Scholar, okay? 2, let's talk about bookmarks, right? So I have just a quick example here of bookmarks. I want to take you back to the Easy Accents add-on. Now, this is only a 2-page sample document. You can have a 40-page document and use bookmarks as a technique. I've already added the bookmark for the Easy Accents add-on. I'm going to show you how to make the link first, and then I'll show you how to make the bookmark in case you want to link to additional bookmarks in the future. With this text selected, I'm going to go through the same process of clicking on my link. And when I do click on my link, you'll notice that because I have added bookmarks to this document, I have a secondary menu called Bookmarks. If I expand that, look, here is my bookmark, Easy Accents. If I make that selection and apply, well, now this link in my Google Doc will take me to that anchored location anywhere in my Google Doc. Boom, there is my cursor right next to Easy Accents. Again, I know it's only a 2-page document, but extremely helpful if you want to link to other areas of your document. There's also an indicator. If you look closely, you'll notice there's a little bookmark, a flag, next to Easy Accents. If I choose to create a bookmark somewhere in my document, it will contain that indicator. That little icon will float to the left of the bookmark. So in other words, if I wanted to put a bookmark at math type as well to link back to this location in the future, put my cursor next to my, or on the line where I want to go to, I say insert, I come down to bookmark, my bookmark automatically pops up, and I now have the ability to link to math type as well. So in that linking effort, if I highlight and I say link, if I click on my bookmarks, well, now I have math type and Easy Accents as anchored locations to go to or navigate to from my linking and embedding here. Okay. The other piece here, I want to draw your attention, the 5 topics for our Thrive in 5. You can see I've kind of highlighted them and they're a little bit bigger and they're underlined. But in this case, I did not just change the font. What I did is I created headings. And the way that you make headings is when I highlight text, I go up to this styles box that no one ever uses, right? But you might now, because by using styles, you're building a structure of hierarchy inside of your document. So instead of normal text, I've made these topics headings. And why that's so valuable is by making them headings, I can expand my document menu off to the left here where it says show document outline. It slides out and I have an interactive document to take me to these points in my document as well. So if I want to go back to fillable fields, I simply click there. I'm back at that location. And I have this little blue line indicator that tells me where I am throughout the whole document. This is built automatically as long as you're using styles. You'll also notice that there's some embedded areas of my outline. The reason why they're nested, for example, resources for research is embedded or nested under linking because it's not a heading 1, it's a heading 2. So it's like a subheading under heading 1. Really useful. One more thing about outlines and table of contents. After you've taken the care and nurtured or have weeded and gardened, organized this system inside of your document and it's all cleaned up, you can insert a table of contents. If I say insert table of contents and I come over, I can do a traditional table of contents. I also can do one with blue links. If I choose the blue links at the top of my document where my cursor is here, I get an interactive table of contents to take me throughout this entire document, okay? So a couple ways about linking and embedding there and organizing with our table of contents and our outlines. Lastly, review and viewability. Comments can be really powerful inside of a document, especially when you're giving student feedback. If I highlight comments and I want to add a comment to this document, anytime I highlight a body of text, I can look to the right-hand side and I have this floating tool to add a comment. If I click here, I leave a comment. Great. Wonderful. That's a plain comment. I can say thanks and I can say comment. No worries. But there's a special type of comment, and anyone who's interested in maybe level 1 Google Educator certification, take note of this. If I highlight a body of text and I add a comment, let's say I'm collaborating with somebody else on this document and I want to draw their attention. Specifically, I want them to receive a notification that I want them to see something I'm doing. If I use a plus sign, this is called a plus mention. But if I start a plus sign and I follow it with an email address, so plus are one of my Gmails, check this out, check it out. What this is going to do, whoever I tag with this plus and email address, and I can tag multiple people with the same method, plus one email address, plus another email address, and I choose comment, this will send a notification to them by email and they'll be notified that I've made a comment for them. Okay, so plus mentions, great way of collaborating and building content with others. Okay, suggestion mode is a mode wonderful for review. If I highlight suggestion mode and I come to the upper right hand corner where this says editing, by default we land in editing mode. I want to drop this down and I want to choose suggesting. It looks like nothing happens, except it does. Normally, if I started typing over this text, it would just replace the text. But when I'm in suggesting mode in a document, what that does is, if I highlight mode and I want to say suggesting area, okay, look what happens. I get an indicator that changes were suggested. And if I look to the right, it tells me that Rich Kiker is suggesting to replace mode with areas. If I agree with that suggestion, I can accept it right here. So when you have multiple collaborators, this is a great way to provide feedback to one another. If I reject it, I can choose the X and it doesn't accept that suggestion and I'm on my way. Okay. Last two for today. I want to mention preview. So if I come up to my URL, every Google Doc ends with a final slash mark, the word edit, and sometimes there's additional syntax there. A fun trick is as long as you have shared this document at least to be viewable by your audience in your domain or on the web, if I hit preview and enter, it takes my Google Doc and makes a very clean published document. Sometimes helpful if you're sending this to parents and they don't get confused by misunderstanding that the toolbar is not accessible to them. They can't use it's a view-only document, right? So I really like using this to put it in a nice published, finished look and feel. And then lastly, we wanted to address the history of the documents. So when I'm in a Google Doc here, anytime I want to see the autosave process or step back to a previous version, maybe data was lost and you want to go back in time to a previous edition of this document. If I go to File, and if I come down to version history right here, okay, I can choose to see the version history. If I do that, here's my timeline, the historical information about my document. I can step back all the way to earlier this morning when I first started building this for our time together today, and there's my first fillable field, and I can go back to that version. I don't want to do that because I want people to be able to use this document if you want, but I can travel back in time to previous editions. Like I mentioned on Tuesday, you have to work really hard to lose a Google Doc. It's nearly impossible. Not impossible, but it's nearly impossible with autosave features. Okay. I'm going to pause there and jump back into our slide deck to see if we can get to some questions quickly. Just wanted to kind of spotlight this teacher, Suzanne Crowley in Edison, New Jersey. One of the most talented teachers I've ever had the chance to work with. I spent a lot of time in the district. She's extremely powerful with empowering students with choice and voice, right? And she uses Google Docs as like a digital playlist, as a workflow system, and she gives choice throughout it. So I'll let you take a moment and look over this quote, and then I'm going to move on to show you an example of what she was doing. If you notice, this is a Google Doc that Suzanne is using with her students. She built a table. She built color scheme in the backgrounds of the table. She used icons, and she built this really engaging, interactive document, complete with voice and choice for students to select their own learning materials in here as well. So model of excellence, in my opinion, just really great use, and kind of puts a capstone on our effort to talk about interactive documents here today. We have our extra credit sheet ready to go. If you want to take a look, the resources will be here. And then I want to get to some of these questions as fast as I can. Let's see here. Our links from Andres, are all links bookmarks? Andres, they are not. It's a great question. A link can be a link out to a website or to another document or a slide presentation. A bookmark is a specific type of link, often known as an anchor in your document. Anywhere in a multi-page document or anywhere in a document that you put a bookmark, you can create a link to a bookmark as long as you've built them into your document. So not all links are bookmarks, but I guess technically all bookmarks can be linked to. Okay, so good question. From Ella, can you please walk through the preview steps again? So if Ella, great question. If I am in a document and I'm working in that document, okay, you can see I have all my toolbar materials and my file menus up here. If I use my URL and I come to the end of the URL, okay, I'm looking for this final slash mark, and to the right of the final slash mark, I have the word edit. Everything from that word edit to the right, we want to eliminate. We want to keep the final slash mark, but what I have selected here, I can just hit backspace. My cursor is blinking. I can type in preview and enter. And that puts me into the preview, that published mode, okay? The toolbar goes away. It's very clean looking. It's actually essentially a website, right? We've added this as a web interactive website with the links active and everything else. Key point, make sure the file is shared at minimum view only with the entire audience that you want to be able to see this. Great question. A lot of questions on templates. If a student chooses a template and they edit it, does that impact the template itself? No, that does not impact the template itself. Great question. This is the point of the template system. The same way that we can use Google Classroom to make a copy for every student, you can think of that process the same way that you think of a template. If I go to the template gallery for my domain and I select a template to use, that template will make a copy, okay? So the original is not being changed. This is a templating system so that it's looking at it and it's forcing a copy that will be owned by the user who made the copy, editable by that user, but the core, I should say the original file, the template, is untouched. There's iterations of the original that are editable. So great question on that one too. Let's see here. Okay, so I think we got a good number of questions in. Just want to wrap up with a few more reminders. Once again, oh, we got one more question. Let's get it in here. From April. Hello, April. What's the trick for forcing a copy? Good question. Another solution in and around similar to the template, right? So if I'm in a Google Doc and this time I go to my document URL and I do the same thing for the preview trick. I take everything from the right of that final /mark, and I type copy, and I hit enter or return. Now, would you like to make a copy of Interactive? Just like our preview, this is another forced method to make the Google Doc operate a way that you want. So if I send this new link that includes copy at the end right here via email or to parents or to anyone, they would have to make a copy of the original, not touch or edit the original, make a copy that they can then edit, manipulate, and own the copied file. So great question. Good one to close on here. So being respectful of everyone's time, I want to say one last thing. The link, again, this short URL that you see here will take you to the resources, the slides, and link you back to the recordings that should be published within the next few minutes as soon as we end this broadcast. And you'll be able to access those resources. And again, tomorrow's Friday. Look out for the email coming with a review of the week and some of the things that we went through both on Tuesday and Thursday this week. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. I know I'm a day early on that, but enjoy your time off. I hope the weather's nice where you are. And thank you for spending time with us today in the Thrive with 5 series. Next week, we will jump into Google Forms, and same schedule, Tuesdays and Thursdays, same time. You can register at this short link. And again, have a wonderful weekend, and thank you for joining us today. Take care, everyone.